We work with the developers, the owners, the institutional investors. So they all kind of have a different spin on the same data, but it's really understanding who's the end customer or renter, what do they care about? Therefore, what should I invest in or develop or acquire that's then going to resonate with that audience? Once it's built or acquired, how do I deliver messaging to best reach that end customer or end renter?
From a marketing perspective, it's great because you can come out of the gate with a smart market campaign right away. Typically in geofencing, which is what we focus on, it's always been kind of spaghetti on the wall. You'll get a huge list of all the places that people think they should be targeting, and you'll get started, and then you'll pause some after month 1 and some more after month 2, maybe add some new ones in. But now we're able to say, okay, no, these are the actual places that people live, work, and play based on the data. And so the initial marketing campaign has a smart list. And so how, as a industry, can we get to the table sooner? Other industries, it's definitely that way. I've seen it in franchise and in retail where marketing plays a pivotal role in deciding where the location is selected. So Placer data really does that. I mean, it's helping to create decisions at the local level that marketing can come to the table with. Like, if we can add value to those conversations, we're going to get invited to those conversations.
Ben, do you maybe want to walk through, like, make it more tangible for people, maybe about like how you guys collect the data, how other folks then leverage it, that type of thing?
Sure, definitely. So what we're doing at Placer is we're aggregating over 30 million mobile devices of anonymized cell phone location data. Within that, we're able to see home, work locations, favorite places, right, where those cell phones are going. And so the way that that's collected, not to get too in the weeds or nerdy about this, but basically we partner with mobile location apps and apps that require location data to be effective, right? So think weather, fitness, travel, family apps, et cetera. Within that, the user is consenting to share their location data, and we have first-party relationships with the apps themselves. And so all the data that's collected, we're not ingesting any PII, personal identifiable information or ad IDs, anything like that. It's all CCPA and GDPR compliant. So the most stringent privacy laws in place, we're compliant with all of those. And that's important because with the deprecation of cookies and what's happening in geo-targeting and what have you, Placer is built privacy first. Our founders had the vision to really do that at the beginning of the business several years ago. And so because of that, we're seeing really accelerated adoption across different advertising channels and verticals.
And then how might that get used by someone to, you guys talking about like pick a new location? Like I've seen it a lot with malls and other retail locations, just like what Matthew's talking about.
Yeah. So for site selection, it has to do with, in the retail space, it's co-tenancy. What other brands do I thrive nearby? Demographics. Who are my top shoppers or customers? What do their demographics look like? It's cannibalization, right? Not being too close to one of my existing units. And so triangulating all of those data points to say, these are the best voids in a market of where I should go next. And so really saying, okay, what are my best locations? Find more lookalike locations. And so in multifamily, that can be very similar in terms of what are the job growth prospects, right? What are the migration trends? Taking all that into consideration. Where are the employment centers? All of that to then say, where do I want to go next?
Yeah, it's when Reed and I were heavy into location data a number of years ago. Even though it's anonymized, you can still often tie different like demographic or psychographic stuff to those users. So then you could know, like, in this area, the mobile devices belong to people making 6 figures and that type of thing, right?
That's right. Yeah. Are there power elites in the area? The most affluent households? Are they singles and starters, right? Folks that are kind of entering the working years and starting out. Are they, significant singles, single person household with, high income earners, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So what then are your KPIs? Like, if you're setting expectations, it sounds like you work both with developers and I guess vendors or suppliers. Is that right?
We do. Yeah, we work with the developers, the owners, the institutional investors. So they all kind of have a different spin on the same data, but it's really understanding who's the end customer or renter, what do they care about? Therefore, what should I invest in or develop or acquire that's then going to resonate with that audience? And then once it's built or acquired, how do I deliver messaging to best reach that end customer or end renter?
Yeah. Well, I guess to me, it makes a ton of sense. And I think it's a great kind of layer of data to add into the kind of criteria, I guess, that they're looking through. But what I'm trying to get at is, how do you communicate ROI? It's like, because it seems like it would be a stretch and to say this is going to generate, a higher valued asset or more profitability.
Sure.
That's a big leap, but maybe that's where you guys go. So I'm just, as we're in an era of more AI, more technology, more data,
Yep.
I think that can exhaust a lot of developers, owners, people making these decisions. And so, our experience at least has been often like, okay, well, kind of let's cut to it, like set expectations for me on this investment. So I don't know if maybe you haven't bumped into that, or if you have, like, how you work through that
For sure.
conversation.
It's all about ROI, right? Without it, it's kind of like, who cares or so what, right?
Right.
So
You said it.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
cares?
me.
Or so
For
what?
developers and investors, it's we look at 100 deals, we pull the trigger on one, maybe, might be even lower than that, right? And so what that means is having more data to make a better decision is you can get to a quick no a lot faster. So you can move to the next deal, which means you can screen more deals in a shorter time, which, all that to say, I can be a smarter, more informed investor, where now I can focus my energy on the best deals that actually check the right boxes that I care about. And then you made an interesting point earlier, Matt, like about talking about it used to take 90 days to launch a campaign, to get feedback, to see like what's working, to kind of rejigger. And you said something about it takes now, you can do in a month or 30 days what used to take 90 days. I'm paraphrasing and probably butchering your point, but
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, it's great because you can come out of the gate with a smart marketing campaign right away. Typically in geofencing, which is what we focus on, it's always been kind of spaghetti on the wall. You'll get a huge list of all the places that people think they should be targeting, and you'll get started, and then you'll pause some after month one and some more after month two, maybe add some new ones in. But now we're able to say, okay, no, these are the actual places that people live, work, and play based on the data. And so the initial marketing campaign has kind of a smart list, right? And so the data I was presenting today is that we did that with one of our clients recently. And in the first month, it was above all of our typical benchmarks that we hit around the 3-month mark. So I think from a marketing perspective, we can provide value to our clients in that way that I just talked about, but also in the development of the brand itself. So when you think about the developer who's making a tens of $1 million decision about where to build, a lot of risk there, having some data to back it up, add some confidence. But then from there, they have to bring in architects, they have to bring in interior designers, they have to bring in an outside agency to develop the brand. And those are other big decisions that are very expensive. And so how can they help inform, the messaging, the brand, the features and finishes that people are going to care about? And it's using science to help make kind of non-science decisions.
Well, it's such an important point because it's not just like marketing and packaging of a message. It's a lot of that is CapEx related. Like it's hundreds of thousands or it could be millions of dollars in amenities is this even something that my renters care about? Right. So like maybe I put in a massive gym, but it turns out these are, Pilates or yoga people, or they're into golf. Like, do I put in a putting green? Do I put in a dog wash or a dog park? And so knowing all of that on the front end of what's really going to move the needle and resonate can be hugely valuable and determine whether or not I, beat my peers and lease up, or if I get a rent premium, or if I'm lagging and offering above market concessions because I delivered the wrong unit mix or I delivered the wrong amenities that don't really resonate.
I've talked to a lot of franchisees, and this is using this type of data they lean on it so heavy before they decide where to put the next Hardee's or whatever. And so this is always fascinating to me that in our industry where, we lean so heavily on like the local developer who's like, has just the strong opinion, should be built right here.
Yeah, there is something to instinct and experience, but I'm with you. Like I think in this industry, the data has been more underutilized than others for sure. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for? Is it more the placing, or like as you were saying offline, is it more about like determining better budgets out of the gate, or is it more performance after the property is built?
So I think from a marketing standpoint, it is being able to show ROI faster, having a campaign that performs well. And that's not just in geofencing what we do, but it's also the messaging that's going to be on your paid social and even the keywords that you're going to use, and understanding like the industries that people work in. And, there's just so much there to create marketing campaigns that you can come out of the gate with that are going to provide ROI. Because typically when you're launching these campaigns, this is when they're in lease up and you're always trying to get to a number as fast as you can. So that's the big value for me. That's why we've started to use this data, and it's not, it's not cheap, but it's worth the investment even on our end, so that we can go to our clients and say, here are, recommendations so that we can, provide value.
Yeah, I'm with you on the not inexpensive, and I'm also with you that it can definitely drive performance and ROI. One of the things that I found most effective, this is man, this was before the pandemic, but we had a property that they were selling like, I don't know, was it like $16,000 a month apartments in Atlanta, Reed?
Yeah.
And anyways, this property was really struggling, and we ended up purchasing some location data. I'm sorry, Ben, we didn't know you at the time. It was from a different provider.
We're offended.
Yeah, but we were actually trying to get drive-by traffic data, and it was because when you look at it, that property against its comps, it was leasing at like a third the rate of the comps. But then I was like, I think they always say in real estate, location.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled traffic data, and we saw that the traffic data, they were on this one-way side street that almost was like an alley, and that was the entrance, versus the comps they were comparing themselves to and then kind of beating us up about were essentially on Broadway. And the traffic was, according to the scoring metrics, they had a score of like 150, and the competitors had a score of a 7,000. And it was like the amount of drive-by traffic cannot be overlooked here and is not insignificant.
Yeah.
And so that's when before we started and you talked about budgeting, or even afterwards when you think about performance, it's like on the other end, you could truly put a sign spinner out against their competitors, and they're going to get enough traffic and they're going to fill the units. When we actually went to visit the property, we flew out there, we struggled to find it, even using our Uber driver to get there. So just making the point that I think location is often forgotten about, particularly when we're trying to do so many things at scale and you may not be on site. And so I think there's major opportunity here for the ROI, the planning, to your guys' point.
Well, there's probably that. I would imagine that they knew that was probably the case, but it's like instinct, anecdotal. But then to have some data say, yeah, look at this. So then, from a marketing perspective, you can, get them to invest more, because if it's not just like an opinion, you have some data behind it, then you can help them decide where to invest their marketing dollars.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the developer was well aware of it, and maybe the original people, building the property, but the management company did not seem aware. Now this is their third management company in under a year, so I think there'd been some like stuff lost in translation, and I think at some point, like maybe the developer or the owner was like, yeah, no, I know, I put it there on purpose because but it's like, yeah, but that. You understand the uphill battle you're fighting, but it's just something that you and I may not often get to see when we're running campaigns, like particularly in a remote location. So
that's such a good point, because like just to have parity with visibility and leads, and I mean we hear that all the time anecdotally that an interstate facing site or with high traffic counts going to have accelerated lease up just because of visibility and awareness, and folks are driving by during commute, like you could live here, you could be home by now, right? You see like those kinds of things.
Oh my gosh, I hate that sign.
It's the worst. Yeah, so cliche, right?
If you lived here, you'd be home by now. I'm like,
oh yeah. Well, I was going to give you a hard time about live, laugh, play. No, what was it? Live, play, work.
Hey, I started that.
live, laugh, love.
Okay. Live, work, and play. I started that.
Wait until you hear about a 6 core value.
Oh yeah.
You'll be claiming that one 5 years from now. Too.
Yeah.
Like a decade ago.
I've seen that more than any 3 words on a banner for an upcoming property. So I hope you get royalty checks.
I should get royalty checks.
Yeah.
Is it neutrivity or neutralivity?
Oh yes, yeah.
Your core value.
I like to make new words. I like to create things that are viral, and then 10 years from now, people take the credit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Digible. It's like
Yes, that's very good name.
No,
I did come up with that too.
Well, I know
we're going to keep that a secret.
I know we have to let you get to another appointment. So, Matthew, if they want to learn more about notapartmentgeofencing.com, what do they do?
Well, I'm now going to go get that domain.
Okay.
I'm going to have to. But we're at apartmentgeofencing.com, of course, and then, check out Placer.ai.
That good for you, Ben?
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, guys.